You seem to ask the question, do you have to come out of the closet? Very interesting question, in fact. I think ultimately it boils down to individual choice. I agree with you, of course, Carl, that you don't really have to. I mean, it's not forced upon you, and I don't think people should think less of someone who doesn't, which most people seem to. Um, at least the people who are open to it. But I mean, each of them, but both choices, hold their own levels of good and evil, if you will, though I really hate that terminology. But they both have their levels of pain. I mean, staying in the closet is a very dull pain. Like, to relate it physically, like scraping a dull blade against your skin. You get used to it after a while, it doesn't hurt so much, but eventually it will cut through. It takes a long while, but eventually it will get there. On the reverse, using coming out of the closet, if you will, is much more like a sharp dagger, but passed only once or twice. So it pierces and the sting is far sharper, but you don't know how much damage it will do. It could be a needle injection, it could be a bullet wound, it could be a car, so it's much sharper and much more intense, but it could pass. It doesn't always pass. Occasionally you are worse off, but again, it all depends on the individual situation. Now, what I would of course suggest is analysis of the pros and cons and the possible consequences. Unfortunately, when push comes to shove, or particularly at its tail's end, para decirlo en español, al final de cuentas, como dice mi mamá, you you really can't accurately predict it. I mean, you can try to, but it's not going to be nowhere near accurate. You will over and underestimate the situation. So, in the end, the best comparison to make this is basically to life itself. You can live sheltered and closed in perfectly well, and again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. It has a wonderful level of control. Controlled pain. You understand your pain, you can control it, which is a very, very comforting feeling. I mean, it may not be the wonders of joy, but it is a very good feeling. Then, of course, we have the reverse, which is the extreme lust of life, and yet the vulnerability to be more hurt. I mean, the question is an extreme. You're either dull in both situations, you have low pain and low pleasure, or high pleasure and high pain. So that's pretty much how this works. Um, Ultimately, you have to decide whether you want to risk that, because that's really what you're risking. You're changing from control to non-control. You're basically choosing between extremism and neutrality, or at least very low levels of either one. That is pretty much your choice. But as I always say, which this might be my opinion that people should come out, but what is pleasure without pain? One reinforces the other. You measure your pleasure by your pain, so the more painful an experience, the more you can relish when it's gone. But that's just my opinion, and I also tend to enjoy my pain because I'm an artist, so I kind of feed off it, among other things. But that's my opinion on the matter.